This 17 News at Noon podcast is brought to you by Clinica Sierra Vista.
Welcome back to the 17 News at Noon podcast, where we share your news on your schedule.
Well, good day. I'm Elena Russ. In an unprecedented move by the January 6th committee, Bakersfield Congressman and House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy has been subpoenaed to testify about the attack on the Capitol. The committee subpoenaed McCarthy and 4 other Republicans to be interviewed about their role during the riot on January 6th. The members previously refused to voluntarily interview in front of the Democratic-controlled panel. The committee says all 5 congressmen, each of whom are allies of former President Trump, are critical to the information regarding the riot. We have reached out to McCarthy's office for comment, and this is just what we are hearing back within the last few minutes. McCarthy responded to the subpoena this morning saying, quote, "My view on the committee has not changed. They are not conducting a legitimate investigation. It seems as though they just want to go after their political opponents." The House Minority Leader added, quote, "The one thing that has changed in America, higher inflation than we haven't seen since the 70s, an unsecure border, record high gas prices, and now we don't have baby formula." All right, a crash in Southwest Bakersfield this morning injured both drivers, including a Bakersfield Police Department officer. It happened at 8:21 at the crossing of Buena Vista Road and Ming Avenue when the BPD says the driver of a white Mercedes was traveling north into the intersection. An investigation shows that driver, a 17-year-old, had the green light when the patrol officer came into the intersection with lights and siren activated and hit him. The driver of the Mercedes suffered moderate injuries and is listed in stable condition. The officer had minor injuries. Now to your 17 Court Watch, we are learning more in the case of a Bakersfield man who has been charged in connection to his baby's death last fall. On September 15th, 2021, officers responded to a report of a 7-week-old infant not breathing at a home on Waterbury Drive. The baby was taken to the hospital where investigators say trauma consistent with child abuse was discovered. The infant was later declared dead. In more than 800 pages of investigative reports filed in Superior Court, investigators say the infant had Down syndrome and suffered skull fractures and bleeding on the brain. Following the investigation, the child's biological father, 35-year-old Gregory Higgins, was arrested. He has pleaded not guilty to first-degree murder and assaulting a child under 8. He is being held without bail and is due in court next month. And we're also learning more in the case of a man who allegedly killed his grandfather earlier this year. It happened February 10th at a home on Myrtle Street near 3rd Street. Newly released court documents there show Bakersfield police found 78-year-old Joe Salazar Estrada and his brother on the ground with gunshot wounds and a third man sitting on the front step. Estrada died at the scene. His brother survived. The documents say an officer approached the third man, now identified as Estrada's grandson, Dan Ryan, who spontaneously said, quote, "I had to shoot them. They were going to kill me." During a later interview, court documents show Ryan made a number of bizarre comments. He has pleaded not guilty to the charges, including first-degree murder and attempted murder, and he is due back in court June 9th. And now to your 17 follow-up file. The search for Christian Gonzalez, the missing owner of downtown restaurant The Spot, has led to Las Vegas. The Kern County Sheriff's Office says Gonzalez sold his vehicle in Las Vegas 2 days after being reported missing, and deputies are working with Nevada authorities to find him. Gonzalez's family reported him missing April 27th after he failed to show up at the restaurant. Investigators are following up on more reports of Gonzalez being seen in Vegas. Anyone with information is asked to call the Secret Witness Hotline at 322-4040.
Hello, this is Tim Callahan with Clinica Sierra Vista, and we're excited to unveil the Community Health Center of the Future, our comprehensive care center. It's located right across the street from Memorial Hospital. We have every service under one roof, from family medicine, OBGYN care, dental services for adults and children, behavioral health, and much more. So find your way to better care at Clinica Sierra Vista this year at our comprehensive care center. Visit our website, clinicasierravista.org, for the latest on this project. We'll see you soon.
And now to the coronavirus. An NBC News tally shows last week the U.S. reached 1 million COVID-19 related deaths. Flags atop the White House were lowered this morning to mark that number. And President Biden released a statement today saying the latest numbers mark a tragic milestone, and as a nation, quote, "we must not grow numb to such sorrow." President Biden also urged Americans to remain vigilant against the pandemic and to do everything we can to save as many lives as possible, such as getting tested and vaccinated. He He stressed the importance of Congress sustaining these resources in the coming months. Now, this all comes as reported cases of COVID-19 and hospitalizations are on the rise across much of the U.S. due to a new fast-moving subvariant. And turning now to the latest on the fentanyl epidemic. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention announced yesterday more than 107,600 Americans died from drug overdoses last year. That is the highest annual death toll on record. According to a report from the CDC, overdose deaths increased 15% in 2021, up from an estimated 93,000 fatalities the year before. Now, while the total number of deaths reached record highs, the increase appeared to slow compared to the change seen from 2019 to 2020, when overdose deaths rose 30%. Fentanyl, a powerful synthetic opioid, was determined to be the cause of death in nearly 70% of all overdoses in 2021. And here in Kern County, many families felt the immense pain of losing a loved one to drug overdose. Blame fentanyl for nearly half of those deaths. The coroner's office reported 492 overdose deaths last year, 232 of which were associated with fentanyl, an increase over the previous year of more than 80%. And has been the case nationally, the major culprit, as we've been reporting here on 17 News for more than a year, is fentanyl, the illicit synthetic opioid that is being mixed into virtually every drug on the street, from heroin to non-opioids, including cannabis.
We know fentanyl is so deadly and so dangerous, even in such small amounts. And with so many members of our community losing their lives to overdoses or poisoning, we just really feel like we need to be extra intentional about trying to get that awareness out there.
Now, the BPD and Kern County Behavioral Health have almost 20 billboards on the streets of Bakersfield right now, warning of the dangers of these street opioids, one of several approaches they are taking to combat this public health crisis. The summer travel season is quickly approaching, and travel experts say Memorial Day bookings are surging. According to AAA, there are twice as many bookings of flights, hotels, and rental cars compared to what they saw Memorial Day weekend last year. AAA surveyed 5,000 of its members and found that 79% of them feel comfortable traveling again, and 59% said they're okay taking a commercial flight. Now, it's going to cost you a little bit more this year. AAA says the average cost for a domestic flight for each day over Memorial Day weekend is about $160 more expensive than it was last year. And speaking of flights, Southwest Airlines hoping to lure more travelers by upgrading its planes. The airline plans to spend more than $2 billion on amenities that include bigger overhead bins, faster Wi-Fi, and power outlets in every seat. Southwest also planning to double the number of movie offerings and expand its beverage options to include ready-to-drink cocktails, hard seltzer, and rosé. The changes will take place slowly, though, over the next 5 years. And this Saturday, the Postal Service is asking you to help stamp out hunger. The National Association of Letter Carriers is holding the 30th annual food drive, and making a donation is easy. Just leave non-perishable food donations in a bag near your mailbox this Saturday before the letter carrier arrives. Food collected during Saturday's drive will then be delivered to local community churches, food banks, and food pantries for distribution. Now, while all non-perishable donations are welcome, foods that are high in protein, such as canned tuna, salmon, beans, and peanut butter, are most needed. Canned fruits and vegetables, whole grain, low-sugar cereals, mac and cheese dinners, and 100% fruit juice also top the list of the most needed items.
The 17 News at Noon podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to kget.com.